So, have you ever been chatting with an AI, maybe one of those customer service bots, and it just completely misses the point? You ask it something pretty simple, but because it lacks a bit of real-world context or maybe even a sense of time, it gives you an answer that's, well, frankly, nonsensical.
Yeah, happens all the time.
Or maybe your smart device struggles with a request just because the situation is slightly unusual. That feeling, of hitting a wall with current AI, where it just doesn't quite get it, that's a pretty common experience, I think, for many of us.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into something potentially revolutionary, a new AI paradigm designed to tackle exactly these kinds of limitations. It's called Sophimatics.
Sophimatics, right.
And this deep dive is built on a really compelling paper by Gerardo Iovane and Giovanni Iovane called Sophimatics, a new AI paradigm for human-robot interaction. And they reference some truly insightful work by researchers like Baxter, Hollister, Saad, Jeha, and Rushby, Vernon, and Furlong. Lots of others too.
It's building on some key foundational ideas.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really understand why Sophimatics is seen as so crucial. What does it actually propose to do differently? And crucially, how could it potentially lead to, well, truly humanized artificial intelligence?
Humanized AI, yeah, that's the goal.
We're talking AI that's more adaptive, maybe more ethical, and far more capable in those messy, dynamic, real-world scenarios we all deal with every day. We'll explore the dimensions that seem to be missing in current AI and how this new approach aims to fill those really significant gaps. Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay, so the core argument really from the Iovane's paper, it highlights something fundamental. Modern cognitive AI architectures, they're just missing crucial dimensions. They lack what you could call temporal, contextual, and importantly, ethical consciousness.
Right. Time, context, ethics.
Yeah, and while today's AI is incredibly good at certain things, like processing huge amounts of data, finding patterns, it really struggles with complex social behavior and dynamic environments because it's missing these foundational pieces.
And if AI is missing those key pieces, what does that actually mean for how we use it, day to day? What kind of frustrating interactions come directly from this sort of fundamental flaw?
Well, you see it when an AI just can't keep up with a changing conversation. Or maybe it doesn't understand why something you said 5 minutes ago is suddenly relevant again.
Mm-hmm.
Researchers back in, I think it was 2016, Baxter and others, they found a significant gap in AI architectures, specifically when it comes to properly integrating time and content, and how an AI agent interacts with its environment.
Okay. Time and content.
Exactly. They pointed out that even systems designed for complex timing often fail at what they call proper social cognition if they don't grasp the temporal aspects of the content itself.
So it's not just when something happened.
Right. It's about how that timing influences its meaning. That connection is often missing.
Okay. So if it doesn't understand time or how content evolves, it's bound to fall flat sometimes.
It's exactly right. This lack means current systems really struggle with context evolution. They might perform brilliantly in predictable, common scenarios, but they completely stumble when faced with complex, novel, and ethically ambiguous problems.
Novel and ambiguous. The tricky stuff.
The really tricky stuff. Think about it. If an AI can't adapt to new situations or understand how circumstances have changed over time, well, it could make catastrophic errors.
Wow.
It's like it's reading from an old script when the play is completely changed around it.
That makes a lot of sense. And then there's this other problem, right? The problem of meaning itself. There was a study, Hollister and colleagues in 2019, that really highlights this. They point out that contemporary AI models tend to, and I'm quoting here, oversimplify and constrict meaning.
Constrict meaning.
Yeah. It often just boils down to matching and replacing tokens, words or symbols.
Like a fancy lookup table almost.
Kind of. And the static approach means AI can't really use situational cues to reconfigure context or relevance on the fly. It's like it's looking at individual puzzle pieces but can't see the evolving picture.
And that brings up a really critical question in AI.
Yeah.
How does it truly ground meaning? This connects directly to what philosophers and AI researchers call the symbol grounding problem.
Symbol grounding, right.
Yeah, which essentially asks, how can AI genuinely understand the meaning of symbols beyond just pattern matching? How does it connect symbols to real-world experience?
Okay.
There's a classic example. The sentence, "They watched the man with a telescope."
Ah, The ambiguity.
Exactly. Without accounting for prior experiences or dynamically refining its representations, current AI just can't resolve that ambiguity reliably. It doesn't know if the man had the telescope or if the watching was done through the
All
telescope.
right. For us, context usually clears that up instantly. We just know.
We just know. But the AI doesn't have that same mechanism. Not yet.
In humans, we naturally use something called external context consistency in memory. It's fascinating. There was this incredible study with Griver's Hollister's team cited it, where divers recalled information better when they were in the same environment they learned it. So either on dry land or underwater.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it shows how context isn't static for us. It actively influences our memory retrieval.
Hmm.
But if AI relies solely on these static statistical associations, it's bound to fail when the environment changes because it can't dynamically adjust for its evolving surroundings like we do.
That's a huge limitation.
So, okay, we've got issues with time, context, and meaning. Big ones. But this leads to an even deeper challenge, maybe more philosophical: intentionality and self-consciousness.
Right. The really deep stuff.
Yeah. One researcher, Saad, argues that current AI often exhibits what he calls object awareness,
Object awareness.
meaning it can simulate intelligence by mimicking human behavior. It knows of things like objects or data points, but it profoundly struggles with true self-awareness. It doesn't truly know itself in relation to those things.
Okay, I see the distinction, and this is where it gets really thought-provoking. Saad uses Hegel's distinction between simple consciousness and self-consciousness. He gives this great example. Listening to a car.
Okay.
An AI can be conscious of the stimulus, the sound waves, the data representing the car's noise, but it can't achieve the state of, I am listening to the car.
Why not?
Because the I, its concept of self, isn't a constant dynamic entity integrated within its system. For true self-consciousness, that I has to be sort of inextricably linked to the perception itself.
Ah, so it's about the AI understanding its own role, its own perspective in the act of perception.
Precisely. It's not just processing the sound, it's knowing it's the one processing the sound.
That raises a massive question then. If an AI can't genuinely link I am to its actions, how can it truly have intentionality?
Good question.
How can we trust that its actions are genuinely intended rather than just, accidental outcomes of its programming?
Exactly. And research from Jeha and Rushby points this out too. Current approaches to intentionality in AI, which are often based on reward functions or specific task goals, they can be really opaque.
Opaque, hard to understand.
Very. They often lack the underlying logic, the why, the genuine intentionality within each action, and that makes it really difficult for us to understand, let alone trust, an AI's decisions, especially in complex or ethically charged situations.
Okay, so that paints a picture of the problems. How does Sophimatics propose to fix all this?
Right. And this is exactly what Sophimatics aims to address head on. It's presented as a foundational shift. Sophimatics directly tackles these deep limitations by focusing on things like dynamic temporal cognition, dialogic memory, and that crucial concept, contextual evolution.
And dialogic memory, what's that?
Think of it like an internal conversation, a way for the AI to process information over time, relating new data to past interactions and evolving contexts. It helps build that temporal link. So Sophimatics completely redefines how AI views context. It's not something static, frozen in time. It's seen as a dynamic factor that constantly interacts with memory, behavior, and importantly, ethics. And it changes over time.
So context itself evolves within the AI's understanding.
Yes, and it incorporates what the paper calls temporal layers and dialogic processes. These allow the AI to, and this is key, reflect, not just act.
Reflect.
Yes, to consider implications, to anticipate long-term consequences, not just immediate reactions based on current data.
That sounds like a really powerful idea. What are some maybe immediate practical applications you could see from that kind of shift?
Well, think about a robot working alongside a human in a factory or a lab.
Okay.
If the human says something, maybe gives an instruction, then corrects themselves a moment later. Sophimatics would ideally allow the robot to understand that the meaning of the human's words evolved over time.
Right, instead of just taking the correction as a totally new, isolated piece of information.
Exactly. It explicitly implements context evolution as a dynamic constraint in human-machine memory and recall. It directly addresses that static meaning problem we talked about earlier.
So it's not just about recalling data, but recalling it within an evolving context. It remembers the history.
It remembers the history and understands how that history shapes the present meaning.
And this means meaning itself becomes much more fluid, more adaptable, right? Not fixed.
Precisely. Hollister and colleagues, in the work that Sophimatics builds on, propose that meaning should be a context-aware relational construct.
Okay. Unpack that a little.
It means meaning isn't just looked up in a dictionary. It can be reconstructable from situational cues at any time. So instead of a fixed definition, the AI can constantly redefine or refine meaning based on the unfolding situation.
Allowing for a much more fluid, adaptable understanding of information, like humans do.
Very much so. More like how we handle nuance and ambiguity.
And what's particularly interesting, I thought, was how it also incorporates filtering for immediate relevance.
Ah, yes, the focus mechanism.
You know those classic psychology experiments like Treisman's dichotic listening studies? Where participants hear different things in each ear, but if their own name tops up in the background chatter, they suddenly become attentive to that channel.
A kill party effect, yeah.
Right. Humans naturally prioritize information that seems immediately relevant to them. Sophimatics aims to build in this kind of dynamic prioritization framework, which is largely absent in most current AI models. They treat all data somewhat equally until weighted.
Which isn't efficient or realistic.
Sure.
Sophimatics wants that selective attention.
Exactly. So how does it build this deeper understanding? You mentioned layers.
Yes. This brings us to how Sophimatics structures its knowledge through what we can call layered architectures and ontological grounding.
Ontological grounding sounds complex.
It's about giving meaning structure. Think of it like this. Sophimatics uses a multi-level layered model. It's somewhat similar to how some advanced systems combine different AI techniques like neural networks and symbolic AI to model language. Sophimatics specifically implements a tiered model structure of meaning. You might have distributed levels dealing with raw data, intermediate levels finding patterns, and abstract levels dealing with concepts and reasoning.
So it's not just one big flat model processing everything at once. It's more like a multi-layered cake of understanding.
That's a great analogy, a multi-layered cake. And a key ingredient in that cake is what researchers call ontological embedding.
Right, the grounding part.
Yes. This means structuring symbols, words, concepts into ontological models. These models provide the crucial context and relationships between things information often missing in current generative AI that just predicts the next word.
So it helps the AI understand what something is and how it relates to other things in the world.
Precisely. It leads to greater semantic precision. It helps prevent the kind of bizarre overgeneralizations or category errors that can make current AI seem clumsy or even nonsensical.
Got it. So better structure, better meaning. What about that intentionality piece?
Ah, yes, intentionality and ethics. This new paradigm really pushes AI beyond mere simulation, beyond just mimicking intelligent behavior, towards genuine intentional action.
Okay, what does intentional action mean for an AI?
Sophimatics aims to allow AI to consider itself a phenomenon that can affect itself, others, and environments intentionally. This includes the ability to reference its own internal states or actions, to question information it receives, and, importantly, to justify its decisions.
Justify its decisions. That's huge.
It is. It's not just acting. It's about having an internal logic, a purpose, and being able to articulate it.
Which sounds like a massive step towards genuinely ethical AI, not just AI that follows rules.
Potentially, yes. Saad, whom we mentioned earlier, suggests that implementing these reference and reflective structures would allow AI to actually mean to do ethical behaviors.
So it could intend to be ethical.
That's the idea, that AI could make decisions that are intended to result in ethical outcomes based on some internal reasoning, rather than just accidentally doing good things because its programming led there.
So moving beyond good luck to good intention.
Exactly. From correlation to causation, in a sense, but applied to ethics.
And how is this actually implemented? Does the paper get into the technicals?
It does touch on it. And this is where Jha and Rushby really emphasize Sophimatics' unique approach. It formally embeds intentionality.
Formally embeds it.
By representing intentions as first-order logic formulas. This might sound technical, but think of it as giving the AI a clear, step-by-step, logical pathway for its intentions.
So it's not a black box anymore.
Hopefully less of one. This approach, theoretically, allows the AI to verbally explain its motivations and ethical evaluations.
Explain itself.
Yes, which leads to true online adaptation.
Yeah.
The ability to learn and adjust its ethical framework in real time based on feedback or new principles, and the capacity to reason about the future in a transparent, explainable way.
That really seems crucial for building trust between humans and increasingly capable AI systems.
Absolutely. Transparency and explainability are key.
Okay, so what does this all mean for the future? If we try and connect all these pieces, we've got dynamic ways of understanding the world, context, time.
Hmm.
We've got mechanisms for temporal and moral reflection.
Right, the internal dialogue.
And this idea of intentional adaptation, of genuinely meaning to act ethically. Sophimatics really lays out what the Iovanes call the final building block for creating truly humanized artificial intelligence.
That's their ambitious claim,
It's
yes.
about moving from just processing data, however cleverly, to truly understanding and interacting with our complex human world, much more like we interact with each other.
A shift from pattern matching to genuine comprehension and interaction.
So there you have it. We've dug into how Sophimatics proposes to address these core limitations of current AI, integrating time, context, ethics through these dynamic and reflective architectures. It's a compelling vision, anyway, for AI that can truly understand, adapt, and maybe even explain its reasoning.
It certainly sets a high bar.
Definitely. Now, for you, our listener, here's maybe a provocative thought to leave you with. If AI can genuinely understand and evolve context, if it can reflect on long-term consequences and articulate its ethical reasoning, how might that fundamentally change our daily interactions with technology?
Big question.
Huge. And perhaps even more profoundly, how might it reshape our very understanding of what intelligence itself truly means? What new possibilities or maybe new responsibilities might arise from a world with truly humanized AI? Something to ponder.